Welcome back everyone, I'm Nick, this is Swiftful Thinking, and it's sad but we're in the final stretch of this course. We already did the majority of our screens, but there's one more screen that we need to work on, and it is the settings view. So on our home view, if we click on the little info, the eye icon on the top left, it's going to pop up a settings view. It's going to be a new sheet, and it's going to have some very basic information about this app. So we're going to keep it simple here, and we're not going to create a view model for this view, although we could. But we've done so many layers and view models in this course that I just want to keep this simple. We're just going to put a couple different sections and a list on the screen. We're going to have a section about the course, a section about CoinGecko, the API we're using. We're going to have a section for the developer, so like your own personal section. And we're going to end it with a section about the application, because pretty much every app that you put into the App Store should have an application section in the settings where users can access your private policy, your terms of service, maybe your company website and things like that.
All right, welcome back everyone. So I'm back in our Xcode project. In the last video, we finished setting up the detail view, which looks awesome. We got our description coming through. We have our website links at the bottom. And if we're on our main page, the last thing we need to set up is when we click on this eye on the main page, right? Because when we go to the portfolio page, we got this plus button to edit the portfolio. But when we are back on the main page, we have an eye button here, and it's currently not doing anything. And of course, we want the eye to show a new screen, which is going to be our settings screen. So to start that, let's actually create a new folder in our core section here. So if I fold these up, we have our home section, our detail section, and I'm going to create one more folder. Let's create a new group and we'll call this settings. Let's put it down at the bottom underneath the detail. Put it right here. And inside that, just like when we have in our other folders, we have the views and the view models. In our settings, we're going to create a new group called views. And now we could create a view model for the settings, but this is going to be a very simple view. So I'm just going to put all of the logic actually directly within the view. I think it's just easier and faster, and we've done enough of the view models in this course to understand how to do that if we needed to. So in our views folder, let's right click, create a new file, and this will be a SwiftUI view. And we're just going to call it settings view. Click create, click resume. Once we're inside here, I'm going to go full screen so that we can see it a little bit better. All right, and when we go to this view, we're going to use a sheet just like we did with the edit portfolio view. And because we're using a sheet, it actually creates a new environment, and therefore we are no longer in our navigation view. So on this settings view, let's actually start by adding a new navigation view. Open the brackets, and inside we're just going to add a simple list, and we'll open the brackets. I'm going to put a text here, it just says hi for a second. And on the list, let's give it a navigation title that says settings. Let's start by adding the back button on the top left corner here. So let's add a .toolbar. And I'm just going to type in toolbar and open the brackets. And we're going to add a toolbar item. Open the brackets. We're going to use the placement and content. The placement will be .navigation bar leading. So top left. And the content is going to be X, what do we call it? X mark button. And if you remember a couple of videos back, we created an X mark button, which is a very simple, just an X button, and it connects to the presentation mode, which is the current presentation mode that the user is in on that screen. And when we click it, it just dismisses the screen. So very simple back button, and we're just going to put that in the top left of the view. All right, and in our list, we're going to create a couple sections. And sections are a really cool feature of a list. We can add basically a group of rows, and that group can have a header and a footer. So just to show you guys quick, we can add a section, open the parentheses, and we can use the header footer content. And just to show you, I'm going to put the header as a text that says header. The footer, I'm going to put a text that says footer. And the content, we'll just put our hi inside. Let's put 2 highs just so we can see what it looks like. So on this default list view here, we have the header here, and we have the content in the center, which is 2 highs, and then we have the footer at the bottom. And this looks good, but I actually want to change the list style. So when we change the .list style, it will automatically reformat our sections to a couple different default formatting options. So if I type in list style here, we can see that there's a whole bunch, and I covered these in the list video of the SwiftUI Bootcamp. And for this one, we're going to use the group list style. Open and close parentheses. We're using this just because I think it looks pretty cool. All right, and so we have the header, which is kind of like outside of the content section, and as well as the footer. And we're not going to need the footer. I just wanted to show you guys what it does. So let's actually just delete the footer out of here. All right, so we're going to create a bunch of different sections that all have obviously different headers and as well as different content. And in each of those sections, we're going to have some links for our app, because it's pretty common on the settings screen of your app to link to outside resources, such as your private policy, your company website, things like that. And as I mentioned, we could make a view model for the settings view, but we've done that a bunch in this course, and I'm just going to put the data inside this settings view directly. So at the top here, let's just create some of the links that we're going to use, in these sections. Let's first say let default URL. We'll set this equal to a URL, open the parentheses, pass in a string, and we're just going to type in https://www.google.com. And if I hold the option button and click on this default URL, it is optional. So I'm going to actually explicitly unwrap it with the exclamation point here. If I hold the option button and click on it now, we can see that it is actually a URL. It's not optional. And throughout the course, I always recommend not using these explicit unwraps pretty much anywhere. But for like this case specifically, it is okay, because we know this URL is never going to fail because we're passing this in directly. So this is not a worry that we're explicitly unwrapping right here. But if you were getting these URLs like from a database, you would obviously want to use your guard or if-let statements to make sure we have valid URLs. But I'm going to keep this as explicit just for brevity's sake here, just because I want to get through the settings view. So we're going to create a let YouTube URL equals URL string, and we're going to do https://www.youtube.com/c/swiftfulthinking. I'm going to do a tiny bit of self-promotion on this settings view just because this was a free course. So I'm going to put my YouTube URL here. If you have your own channel or you want to put another link, you are more than welcome to on your app as well. I'm going to create another, let's say, let coffee URL, and we'll set this equal to a URL with a string. We're going to do https://www.buymeacoffee.com/Nick Sarno. I'm going to explicitly unwrap this as well. We're going to say let CoinGecko URL. We'll set this equal to URL with a string of https://www.coingecko.com. To explicitly unwrap it, let's say let personal URL equals URL string. And in here, I want you guys to put the URL of like your portfolio, your website, your GitHub, whatever you want here. So I'm just going to put https:// my personal website, but we're going to create this section is going to be basically for the developer. So that would be your own section. So put in your website here if you have one. Let's explicitly unwrap that, and let's start getting these sections set up. So the first section I'm going to call Swiftful Thinking. And at the top of the section, let's add a VStack with alignment of leading, and we will open the brackets. Let's add an image, and we're going to use the name, and we're just going to call it logo. If I open up the assets.xc assets, we have an image called logo, which is our app logo. So we're just going to pull that in and go back. And I spelled alignment wrong. And this is obviously way too big, so let's make it .resizable, .frame. Let's give it a width of 100, a height of 100. We don't need the alignment. And let's give it a .clip shape. Let's use a rounded rectangle with a corner radius of maybe 20. I think that looks better. And underneath this image, let's add a text. Let's write out a little bit of details on this app. So we'll say this app was made by following a Swiftful Thinking course on YouTube. We'll say it uses MVVM architecture, Combine, and core data. All right, let's give this a font of callout. Let's give it a font weight of medium, and let's give it a foreground color of theme.accent. All right, let's give the VStack maybe a little bit of padding of maybe .vertical, just to add some spacing on the top and the bottom. And then underneath the VStack, let's add some links. So let's add a link, open the parentheses, and we're gonna use the string protocol and destination. String protocol, this first one, let's say subscribe on YouTube. I'm going to use the control command spacebar to open up the emoji keyboard, and let's use maybe the party emoji because everyone loves the party emoji. And of course our destination will be the YouTube URL that we made up at the top here. All right. I'm going to create one more link. Let's open the parentheses. Let's say here, support his coffee addiction. It is an addiction, guys. I will control command spacebar, and let's maybe search for coffee and put that emoji in, and we'll pass in the coffee URL. This was a free course on YouTube, so if you guys do feel that you learned something and it was worth a $5 coffee, I do accept tips on my Buy Me a Coffee page. You are more than welcome to donate, support my addiction. And finally, on these links, right now they're black because our accent color is actually black in the app, but I want these links to actually be blue specifically. So on the whole list, let's add an accent color of blue. That will look a little bit better. And let's also add here a font of headline by default. I think that makes it look a little better, like we can click on these links. That's it for our first section. So let's, I'm gonna cut this section here. I'm gonna scroll down, let's create an extension like we usually do. So let's extend our settings view, open the brackets. Let's create a private var. We'll say Swiftful Thinking section of type some view, open brackets, paste that inside. I'm going to paste our Swiftful Thinking section at the top of our list here. Let's click resume, and still building. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to copy this whole variable and just paste it again at the bottom. So we're going to create another section now, but I'm going to call this one CoinGecko section. The header will say CoinGecko. The image is going to be CoinGecko as well. So in the assets folder at the beginning of the course, we added a CoinGecko logo. Let's go back. So the CoinGecko logo is actually elongated. It is longer than it is taller. It's not square. So I'm going to get rid of the width here. Let's just delete the width, and let's make it scale to fit. I think that might look good. Let's add our CoinGecko section at the top quick. Underneath the list, underneath the Swiftful Thinking section, let's click resume, see what it looks like off the bat. All right, looks a little bit better. CoinGecko, let's change up the text here. So in the CoinGecko section, let's say the cryptocurrency data that is used in this app comes from a free API from CoinGecko. Let's say prices may be slightly delayed. Just giving CoinGecko a little bit of credit, as they do ask, because it is a free API. Their website says that we do include their logo in any project that uses their API. And of course, we are super thankful because it is so much data and a really cool API that usually you have to pay for things like that, but CoinGecko is giving it to us for free, and that is awesome. Of course, let's change out this link. So let's say visit CoinGecko. Let's pass in our CoinGecko URL. Let's get rid of the second link here. Under this, let's copy the CoinGecko section, paste again. Let's call this section developer section. This will be a section for you as the developer. Let's put the header as developer. And the image, you guys should probably import an image of yourself, but I'm just going to use our app image like we have at the top here. So I'm just going to copy our logo from the Swiftful Thinking section and paste that in the developer section. If you guys are using this as like part of your portfolio or something like that, it would be awesome if you could put your own image here, just so anyone that's actually looking at this could see who you are and why you made it. And in this text, I would add some data maybe about yourself. So I'm just going to put here just myself. So I'll say this app was developed by Nick Sarno, and let's say it uses SwiftUI and is written 100% in Swift. And maybe we'll say the project benefits from multi-threading, because we use the background threads, publishers/subscribers, and data persistence. That's because we're saving it to core data. You can put whatever you want here, just some, quick data for anyone that is looking at your portfolio, looking at this settings section. And finally, put a link at the bottom, maybe visit a website, and you can put in your personal URL, your personal website. And finally, I'm going to copy this, paste one more section, and here we're going to have the application section. I'm going to call this application. And in this section, we don't need this VStack, so I'm going to delete it. And we're just going to have a couple links. So I'm going to change the destination to the default URL, which is just Google. And let's make the first one say terms of service. And let's copy this link, paste it 4 times. And second one will say privacy policy. Third one will say company website, and the fourth one maybe learn more. Because when you do have your application in the App Store, you do need to include links to like a terms of service, your private policy. Chances are you're going to have a website that is connected to your app, so you'll probably want to put that somewhere in your settings view. Let's then take these sections, let's put them in our app. So we'll have the CoinGecko section, the developer section, as well as the application section. Click resume on the canvas, see if it all builds. It should look pretty cool. We have our developer section. Hopefully you can put your own image here. And our application section, which is down here. All looks good. These links should be working. We can test them on the simulator in a second. But let's connect to this very basic settings view to the rest of our app. So I'm going to jump back to the home view. So I'm going to go to the home view. And on the home view, let's see. All right, so on the home view here, I want to show this settings view in a sheet. So we're going to create another, let's put it right in between here. We'll say at state private var show settings view of type bool. We'll set it equal to false. And this will also be a new sheet. And I want to point out here, because we are using multiple sheets on this view, right? We already have a sheet here. And traditionally, you can't really put 2 sheets in the same view hierarchy. So because this sheet is already here, we can't add another sheet right below it. That would be 2 sheets on the same hierarchy. But what we can do in this context here is add a sheet onto the VStack layer, because this VStack layer is separate from this background layer. So the sheet that's on here and the sheet that's on this VStack will not be in the same hierarchy. And that's why both of these will work. So down here on this VStack, let's add a .sheet. Let's add the money sign show settings view. And of course, we want to show the settings view. Open close parentheses, and that should be all we need. Now all we need to do is toggle show settings view to actually show this. And we want to do it when we click on this I button. So let's find that I button. And because our view is so neat, we should very easily be able to tell that that is going to be in the home header. Jump to definition. And here we have the info button, and it looks like we have some logic if show portfolio. So if we are on the right tab, it's going to toggle the portfolio view. But if we are on the first tab, so we'll say else, and then we'll just show settings view dot toggle. Let's click resume on this canvas quick, see if we can get it to work. I'm going to click play. We have our coins coming through. I'm going to click this eye, and our settings view pops up in a new sheet. It works. Let's make sure the edit portfolio still works as well, which it looks like it does. And then in our settings view, it looks like all of our data is coming through, which is awesome. All right, before we end the video, I'm just going to run it on the simulator quick, make sure it still works on the simulator as well. So we're on the home screen, we can click the eye and settings. We have the Swiftful Thinking section. So this app was made by following a Swiftful Thinking course on YouTube. It uses MVVM architecture, which it definitely does. We're actually using a more advanced architecture than just basic MVVM. As you guys can tell, because we have all of these files and folders, we're really becoming expert developers here. We're using Combine, and we use that in probably like 10 different files. Every time we call import Combine, we're using it. And of course, we're using core data because we are saving our portfolio to core data. Let's say subscribe on YouTube. Let's see if it opens up our YouTube, which it does. So if you're following and you are not yet subscribed, we are up to 844 subscribers, which is awesome. So thank you guys all who have subscribed. And if you haven't, this would be a great time to hit that subscribe button if you are enjoying this course, of course. But going back to our app, we also have the Supporters Coffee Addiction, which I am very thankful for any of you who do decide to support my coffee addiction. I have 19 of you already have, and I'm so thankful for that. You're more than welcome to buy me a coffee if you enjoyed this free course. But scrolling down in our view, we also have the CoinGecko section, so we can visit CoinGecko. And again, the CoinGecko API is super, super cool. If you guys are going to go and extend this app, there's so much more you can download from CoinGecko. They have so much data that they provide for free. So I highly recommend maybe checking out the other parts of their free API. The prices are slightly delayed, as we noted here. I think they're delayed maybe like 5 to 15 minutes. It says somewhere on their website. But, you know, for our purposes, that's not a big deal. And then finally, we have our developer section, which hopefully you can put in your own picture here, because this would be a great portfolio app if you're sending this to employers. And the app was developed by you. You can say that now. It does use SwiftUI. We wrote it 100% in Swift. And we used multi-threading. That's because we used a bunch of different background threads when we were downloading data. We used publishers and subscribers all around our app. This is a fairly new and innovative technique in iOS development. It is definitely the future. So if you are using these publishers and subscribers in your apps, employers will definitely like to see that. And of course, we use data persistence because we can close our app, we can open our app, and it will reload from core data, which is awesome. Hopefully you can put in your own website link here. But I just noticed that I do not want to put this party emoji for all of these. So quickly on the settings view, let's just change out those emojis. So the CoinGecko one, I'm going to put let's do Control Command Space. Let's type in maybe gecko. Yeah. Lizard. We got a lizard emoji. And then for visit website, you can put in your own personal emoji. I'm going to put in maybe, I'm going to put in my favorite one, which is I guess it's called the Call Me hand sign. I love this emoji. I think it's so cool. And let's finish up here. We have our application section with terms of service, private policy, company website, learn more. Obviously, they all just go to Google right now. But the point is that we do have a successful settings section in our app, which is pretty much a standard in all apps. All right, that's it for this video, and we are so close to finishing this app. One thing you guys probably did notice is that if we swipe down to the home view, we have not set up our logo or our launch screen, and we're going to jump into that in the next video. All right, guys, thank you for watching. As always, I'm Nick. This is Swiftful Thinking, and I'll see you in the next video.